Okay, guys, I know this was not what we were looking for. This is not what we were wanting. And we got to talk about it. We got to dive into it. We have to talk about not only the implication of what's going to be happening with Aaron Jones and everybody else in Green Bay, but this is going to have a pretty big impact around pretty much the entire NFL. And of course, RIP A.J. Dillon. Now, y'all know that A.J. Dillon, a player that I was drafting everywhere, just literally in every single Dynasty format last offseason, someone that I was screaming for y'all to go out and trade for at the beginning of this football season and halfway through and at the end, up until about 2 or 3 weeks ago, up until when we ever saw other people pumping up A.J. Dillon, and A.J. Dillon's ADP went way higher, and he was all of a sudden went from a third-round pick to a first-round pick. And I came out here and said, hey guys, yes, I loved A.J. Dillon, but I think the hype has got out of control. I think we need to sell now. And I was actually able to go out and sell for the 109 in a Superflex league, which I broke down a video on why I love that price point and why I love trading for that pick. And I believe we made only one other official trade where we were able to cash out on A.J. Dillon and get that high price. But everybody else in the flock leagues had already seen that I was really looking to get A.J. Dillon off my roster. So everybody else was pretty much telling me, Mason, take a hike whenever I approach them for trades. So yes, it hurts. I wish we would have gotten more. I wish we would have been able to milk everything that we could from those shares. But I will say a few things here regarding A.J. Dillon, and then we'll dive into Aaron Jones, then we'll dive into the other running back positions around the NFL. Okay, I've had some DMs on Patreon of saying, hey Mason, do you think now it's a good time to switch back over and continue to say A.J. Dillon is a buy low? And no, it is not. Not at all. The reason we were buying A.J. Dillon low last offseason and halfway through the year is with the chance Aaron Jones was going to be gone. Now, no, the Green Bay Packers, there's literally maybe a 1% chance that they trade A.J. Dillon to another team. It's not happening. What they're going to do from here is they're going to let Jamal Williams go, and A.J. Dillon is going to be playing in that committee with Aaron Jones. And that leads us right into Aaron Jones and his own fantasy value. While yes, this was one of the best case scenarios, staying in Green Bay, I think maybe you could make the argument that Miami would have been fantastic just because that's an offense on the rise, and to go along with that, we understand that he would be seeing almost every single touch there. But it's always great to be playing in one of the most efficient offenses in the NFL, next to one of the best quarterbacks of all time, behind an elite offensive line with a coaching staff that looks extremely strong currently. Still, we have to acknowledge the fact that A.J. Dillon is there. A.J. Dillon is going to be getting touches. What we are going to end up seeing is we are going to see Aaron Jones keep his role that he had on the offense pretty much since 2017. And y'all know that Jamal Williams has been a player that really gets touches every single game, but the problem is he just never got valuable touches. Jamal Williams always got the carries between the 20s, the carries that meant nothing, that don't translate to fantasy production, while Aaron Jones got everything that was fun. Aaron Jones got the targets out of the backfield, as well as the usage at the goal line. This is what we were talking about with DeAndre Swift. This is what we were talking about with Alvin Kamara, and I think we are going to end up seeing Travis Etienne be the same mold. But now, what we are looking at is we are going, okay, so yes, Aaron Jones probably, actually 100% going to keep that passing down role. But is he going to be able to keep the touches at the goal line? Because I think A.J. Dillon is going to come in. He is going to take those meaningless carries between the 20s that don't translate over to a lot of fantasy points that Jamal Williams already had. But on top of that, we are looking at the build of A.J. Dillon going, you know what? He can probably be the guy that they prefer at the goal line. Now, obviously, it's not going to be in every single goal line package. If they just get to the red zone and they're rushing to the 1 yard line, they're not going to be prioritizing getting A.J. Dillon on the field. But if we have a scenario where it's, just say, 1st and goal from the 4, and this team has a timeout, they call a timeout, they go, you know what? For this series, it's probably a little bit better to just have that monstrous running back in the backfield rather than the shifty guy to make sure that we can plunge him into the end zone. So I'm a little bit worried here that we are going to see the touchdown equity for Aaron Jones dip down compared to what he has had previously, but still Aaron Jones has been an elite running back. So he can go from being a top 5 guy over the past 3 years to being a low-end running back 1 and still have a ton of value if he misses out on a few of those touchdowns. So we need to talk about that. And another thing we need to talk about is the fact that Aaron Jones was easily the best running back in free agency for this class. And we know that there are a decent amount of jobs available currently at the NFL level, and we are projecting a decent amount of players like someone in Miami, like a Myles Gaskin, like a Kenyan Drake, just James Conner. I mean, a long list of guys that we are like, you know what, their jobs aren't safe. Their jobs are probably going to be taken, whether that's through the NFL draft or that's through free agency. We need to be worried about that. And I will say here, what we have to acknowledge is Kenyan Drake, possibly one of the best running backs to hit the free agent market now this offseason. Now, Kenyan Drake, I can't say he's going to go to Miami just because we understand that Miami traded him to Arizona for pretty much nothing in 2019, so it'd be weird. You rarely ever see that happen in the NFL. You'll see that happen in the NBA where a team kind of makes a cycle through a couple organizations before landing back on who they were with at the beginning. You never see that at the NFL level. So Kenyan Drake, I'll say possibly he's the favorite to now go to the New York Jets, a team that also has a ton of cap space, a team that clearly needs a running back. So I think this bumps up Kenyan Drake's value, as crazy as that sounds. Y'all know Kenyan Drake, a player I've been trying to avoid hard for pretty much 18 months now. I mean, Kenyan Drake never been a guy that I've really liked. But at this point, I think we go, you know what? It looks like he's probably going to get paid to be a starting running back just because of the supply and demand of the overall jobs available and the running backs on the market. So we have to pay attention to that. And also those running backs that you had to be worried about their jobs, like a Myles Gaskin. Maybe this gives life into Myles Gaskin. And obviously the Dolphins have a ton of picks that they can spend in 2021 to go out there and try to address the position. But we can't say for certain that that is going to end up happening. We can't say for certain that the team is going to make one of those picks. So it at least kicks the can down the road for Myles Gaskin's fantasy value. At least you can't say, you know what, he has nothing currently. So that is going to be something else we want to look at. I guess you can also go to a running back like James Conner, although James Conner was from that 2017 class, so he himself is up for a contract. Just all of those fringe running backs, they're not safe now. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is they are a little bit safer. You can go, you know what, now that we have 2 solid guys that were projected to be their own starters in 2021 on the same team, the Green Bay Packers. Now that opens up one more starting running back spot for someone else in fantasy. So all of those fringe guys, you have to be a little bit more excited about. Maybe this gives a small bump up to someone like a Chris Carson at the same time, because we know Chris Carson, although he's not a player that I really like, he is a player that is going to be at the top of the free agent market. But that's it. We are live streaming right now. So let me go through, read some of the live chat, see what y'all are saying about Aaron Jones. Obviously, if you're watching this as a video later on, you're not going to see any of this. But let's go through. We have a bunch of people out here. John saying, good thing you sold A.J. Dillon. Yeah, guys. It was the clearest thing ever. I thought that A.J. Dillon was about the safest in Dynasty investment you can make 12 months ago. I'm sorry, more so like 6-8 months ago, just because you went, you know what? Aaron Jones, we are understanding that that value is going to dip after the year. A.J. Dillon is going to get some buzz. So, yeah, it was a solid investment that we made, and I'm glad we sold. I wish I could have sold in some more spots, but it is what it is. Juice Bell coming out says, helps Gaskin stocks. Yes, we covered this. Butthead saying, why would the Packers do this? What I don't understand what they did is I don't understand investing into A.J. Dillon in the second round last offseason when there were so many quality wide receivers in that draft where that really doesn't make much sense. We got Jonas saying Travis Etienne to the Dolphins. Mr. J saying A.J. Dillon going back to the bench. Okay, so Rommel coming out says, I got Aaron Jones in every league but one and Dillon and another, so I'm more happy than sad. Yeah, G. Golly saying good time to buy low on A.J. Dillon. No, guys, it's not a good time to buy low on A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon at this point is a premium handcuff running back. He's in the same range as the Tony Pollard. The leagues that I have him in, if you're playing in a Flock Patreon league with me and you think it's a good time to buy low, I will sell A.J. Dillon for a mid-second round pick right now, right away. Okay. Adam saying, do we know when Green Bay can opt out? No, I was trying to look for the guaranteed money on the contract, but usually that stuff doesn't come out. You don't see the structure of the contract for usually like 24, 48 hours. There's no rush for them to report that, because as soon as you get just the big numbers, we understand that people want to hit the Twitter. People want to get those retweets, so they're going to be sending that out before we get any of the details. Okay, Joe coming out says, I know it might seem pointless, but if you have shares of Jamal, any hope on him going somewhere like the Jets or the 49ers that could intrigue you? Not necessarily. I think that we can safely say with Jamal Williams, he's a running back that can do a little bit of everything, but he is not good at anything. He's just the definition of a Jag. So I'm expecting him to probably get picked up on another team, but not necessarily a team that's going to be giving him opportunity. And I will also say real quick, guys, that I think something else we have to take note for the Green Bay Packers. I know this is also kind of me like being Charlie from It's Always Sunny with the little map, like going crazy, you know. But I think we can say that this probably helps Davante Adams. And hear me out. Hear me out. I understand y'all are going, Mason, you're an idiot. But the reason Davante Adams is so impactful for fantasy, the reason that why he's in a tier of his own, is just because he has an elite target share that literally nobody can come close to matching. So that's why we had him as our #1 wide receiver going into 2020. And because I was projecting the Green Bay Packers to be a team to spend money at the wide receiver position this offseason, I thought they were going to go out in free agency and prioritize bringing in a Will Fuller. I thought that was going to happen. I was almost certain it was going to happen. Actually, on the main Fantasy Football channel, we put out our 2021 wide receiver rankings, and I had Davante Adams down there at 3, just because I was projecting them to bring someone else in to take some of that target share away. But now that they're tying this money up into Aaron Jones, we go, you know what? Are we sure that they're going to be able to afford to do that? Maybe they look to draft someone instead. We know that if they draft someone, they're not necessarily going to be able to get that target share right away. So I think this helps Davante Adams. It probably helps these just fringe wide receivers on the Packers at the same time. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, I want to say MVS was drafted in 2017, so he should be coming up to the end of his own contract. Let me double check on that. I know, actually no, Equanimeous St. Brown, MVS, I know they were in the same draft class. They were 2018, I believe. Let me double check. I believe Equanimeous St. Brown and Marquez Valdes-Scantling, some periphery wide receivers for the Green Bay Packers, were drafted in 2018. Let me just double check that they have 1 year left under contract. They could be 2017. I could be misremembering. Okay, no, it was 2018, so they have 1 more year under contract. This could help MVS, and it could help Equanimeous St. Brown possibly in some of those deep best ball leagues like the Flock Patreon leagues. Paul coming out says, when Nightmare becomes reality. Yeah, man. First off, thank you for the donation. Of course, man, that means so much. And yeah, let me know, guys, what do y'all think? If you own Aaron Jones in Dynasty, let me know what you think about this, because while it's good, I don't think we are going to see the same type of production from Aaron Jones over the next 3 years that we've seen from the past 3 years, because I think A.J. Dillon steals some touchdowns away. At the same time, Aaron Jones is the same age as Todd Gurley. Aaron Jones is 26 years old. We understand that this is usually the range where running backs, they take the drop off. I actually saw in a Flock Patreon league, I saw a deal get done where someone traded Aaron Jones for the 104, and it was actually really funny because on Patreon, they asked me this morning before this deal signed, said, hey man, should I trade the rookie pick 104 in a Superflex league pretty much for Aaron Jones? And I went, no, but I'm not necessarily a massive fan on Jones. And then as soon as he signs, you see that deal getting done. So I'm going, you know what? Now that he's a Green Bay Packer, now that he's locked into it, maybe you're willing to spend that 104 on him. But at the same time, I think that 104 could be a Travis Etienne. So I'm always hesitant to trade those picks away. But it looks like y'all are saying y'all are very excited to see this for Aaron Jones. Very sad to see this for A.J. Dillon. Now, yeah, Tanner's saying, glad I didn't trade Dillon from you, Mason. Yeah, guys, in those Flock Patreon leagues, I mean, I have A.J. Dillon everywhere just because we were drafting him in the 3rd last offseason, and I was trying to sell. I offered every single person that had the rookie pick 108 through the 112. I was like, hey, give me your 1st round pick, and you can have A.J. Dillon. I was like, anybody who was drafting in the mid-2nd round, I was like, hey, give me a mid-2nd as well as possibly a 3rd or possibly a throw-in wide receiver, and you can have A.J. Dillon. I was ready to take that profit, but a lot of y'all in those Flock Patreon leagues, you weren't ready to deal with me. Y'all are telling me, Mason, hit the road. We understand what you're trying to do here. We heard you on the channel trying to say that you're trying to sell A.J. Dillon high, but yeah, I wish I could have gotten it done a little bit more Okay, Devin saying Todd Gurley has arthritis in his knees. Not a good comparison, in my opinion. Yeah, no, that's completely fair. Obviously, Todd Gurley, we've had that report for 2 years now. But at the same time, we can also go, you know what? Well, think about who the top running backs were at 26 years old just a few years ago. You had Le'Veon Bell, you had David Johnson at the same time. And I know you can go, well, David Johnson came into the NFL at an extremely old age, and Le'Veon Bell was not necessarily going to be able to make an easy transition from Pittsburgh to the New York Jets, but still. Okay, so Andrew coming out here trying to hit us with the troll, saying Taysom Hill extension, $140 million. Taysom Hill signed a contract last offseason, so obviously that did not happen. Okay, Toby says, do you think the Packers will still invest in another wide receiver? I addressed this earlier. I thought that they were going to be able to throw their hat in the ring for Kenny Golladay, and this is where I don't really understand it for the Green Bay Packers, because can you imagine that offense with Rodgers, with a player like Golladay on the boundary? I mean, that would have been so nice. Instead, they spend the money on Aaron Jones instead. So I'll say they probably bring in another wide receiver, but I don't think it's that solidified alpha option. I think it's probably going to be a little bit more of a secondary piece. Okay. So let's go through. Okay, so y'all are saying Taysom Hill restructured. Look it up. I swear. Okay, I'll bite the troll real quick, guys. Give me 30 seconds, then we'll dive back in to the analysis. Let me look this up real quick to see that we are being trolled on Taysom Hill. Okay, looked up Taysom Hill on Twitter. Okay, so he restructured his contract. Oh my gosh. What just happened? Taysom Hill. Saints are restructuring quarterback Taysom Hill's contract to create cap room. Details are great. It's a 4-year, $140 million contract extension, but all years are voidable, and it's a mechanism to free up cap space this year per source. It saves the Saints over $7.5 million against the cap this year. Okay, so I'll say, first off, I know a lot of people are going to focus in on the fact that it's a voidable deal, that there's not necessarily a ton of guaranteed money. We don't have the details on that yet. What my initial reactions, I'll say, guys, if you understand how the NFL works, pretty much every single deal is a voidable deal. Pretty much every single deal you can cut the player after 1 year. So that $140 million doesn't mean everything, but what it tells us is hey, Jameis Winston, not going to be the starter here. Jameis, I am sorry about it, but it is what it is. Yeah, I'm sorry for calling y'all trolls. I just saw that and I went, okay. So apparently they decided to do this because of, okay, also, why is this alert box still going off? Let me turn this off, guys. Okay, so they did it to free up cap space, but still, that is ridiculous. So it looks like Jameis Winston not going to be a starter in 2021. Very sad. Jameis Winston, I really wanted to see him get a shot. And also, I'll say, real quick, sell Alvin Kamara if you can. If you can go sell Alvin Kamara for Aaron Jones and a first-round pick, that is a no-brainer at this point, in my opinion. While Alvin Kamara is easily one of the most talented running backs in the entire NFL, especially what he can do catching the ball out of the backfield, especially what he can do as well making defenders miss in the open space. You can't look at that overall situation, and you can't say that Taysom Hill is good for him, because we remember what happened to Taysom Hill. I believe he started 4 games in 2020. And Alvin Kamara, you saw the targets drastically drop off. And on the main fantasy football channel, we were talking about this every single week, and that it made sense. Obviously, you were going to end up seeing that happen when Taysom Hill's a quarterback that's going to be looking at his first read. A lot of the times that first read is going to be Michael Thomas. If that's not there, he can't necessarily go through his progressions like Drew Brees was able to. He's like, okay, Michael Thomas isn't there. We are a monstrous human. Let's tuck it and run. Or let's throw it to the outside. We're not going to be going through our progressions, finally finding Alvin Kamara coming out of the backfield in the flat. So I'll say what we're going to look to do is we are going to look to sell Alvin Kamara right now before anybody kind of starts talking about how this hurts him, because it probably does. And then with Aaron Jones, not necessarily even excited about trying to go out there and specifically buying Aaron Jones, just using that as an example. But real quick, I saw we had some donation questions come in. JJ coming out says, great work. Thank you, my man. We also, actually, no, all those were from, for some reason, that refreshed. I have no idea. That was like all our donation questions for the past month. So let me ignore that. I'm running a couple different things right now. I don't know why the system refreshed that. Let me see if there's anything else going on in the general chat right now. It may be Russell Wilson is going to get traded while we go live. Okay, let's go through and... Charlie said it's a typo. It's supposed to be a $14 million deal. Are we sure about that? Jared saying Winston to the Bears. Blah, blah, blah. Tanner saying I'd rather have Aaron Jones at Miami. Miami would have been very intriguing for Aaron Jones just because I'm going to be very bullish on that offense going forward with all the assets that they have, as well as I think that Tua kind of is getting too much hate at this point. A player that I possibly would look to buy low on, considering we don't have him in a single Dynasty league, and we understand that he had the pedigree. We understand that this situation is going to be nice, and Aaron Jones would see every single touch. Okay. So John saying, does this change Michael Thomas's value? I see him as a low-end wide receiver 1 now. I'll say it probably changes it slightly just because Jameis Winston, we know with his incredibly high average depth of target, is going to provide a ton of production for whatever wide receivers he's playing with. He's also going to put his team in a very bad spot where they're having to continuously be aggressive throwing the ball, and you're not going to see the same thing with Taysom Hill. So yes, it slightly hurts Michael Thomas's value. I probably wouldn't focus in too much on that. I would probably focus in a little bit more on the fact that Alvin Kamara is going to go down, because if you look at the production in 2020 with Michael Thomas and Taysom Hill, I mean, Michael Thomas, I think he probably only had like 2 or 3 good games last year, and a few of those were with Taysom Hill. Okay, Shrimp Salad coming out says Aaron Jones is the man, so happy A.J. Dillon isn't taking over. Hot Rock Nation said, LOL, with either of those quarterbacks going to Chicago, they win the division. Yeah, if Watson or Wilson go to Chicago, I mean, that is going to be fantastic, especially for Allen Robinson. I think that we can all say that. Donald coming out says, just wanted to say thanks for all you do. Love your videos, man. No, man, thank you so much for coming out and supporting. Thank you all for hanging out with me during this live stream. I see we have over 100 people watching. That is absolutely massive. Thank you also for everybody who has subscribed to the channel. Hit that notification bell next to it. Join Notification Gang. And drop a like on the live stream. Obviously, that makes a massive difference. Okay, Burr coming out says, could you justify Saquon at 3rd in standard leagues? Yeah, Saquon Barkley, very easy to justify this. The fact that he is probably the most talented running back in the entire NFL. The fact that he's an elite level athlete. The fact that he tore his ACL in week 2, so he should be 100% good to go in 2021. Still on a rookie contract. That team should be able to upgrade either their offensive line or their wide receiver core, which should improve the overall offensive efficiency in 2021. Okay, Nick coming out says, should have listened to you when you said trade A.J. Dillon for the 108. Yes, guys, do y'all want to do something fun real quick? Let me go and pull up that video where I talked about telling y'all, hey guys, I know we have A.J. Dillon everywhere, but I'm going to be looking to sell right now. I want to be selling him for the 108 for reasons X, Y, and Z. And let me read the comments. Let me show y'all what people were telling me, because people were telling me about 6-7 months ago that I was stupid for buying in to A.J. Dillon. And as soon as I was selling him high, people were telling me that I was stupid for that at the same time. So obviously, nobody's ever going to be super happy with everything. And I like it when y'all criticize me, to be completely honest. It doesn't necessarily fuel me or anything, but a lot of times y'all say something, especially in the comment section, and I go, you know what? Yeah, I was wrong about that. That's something I need to look a little bit more into. And a lot of times it does help, but sometimes y'all are just brutally mean, and it's for no apparent reason. So let's go through, and this is the video I said that I want to be selling away A.J. Dillon. This got 10 dislikes on it. So let's go through and let's see. Someone says 1.08 for A.J. Dillon is bad. Let's go and see if we have any other comments about this. So let's go. Paul coming out says, I can't believe you traded up for the 108 for Dillon. What makes it worse is I have the 109. Yeah, that's that same league, man. I am sorry for doing that. You know I'm going to be taking Trey Lance before he falls to you. And then let's go through and see if we can find anything else here. There are about a bajillion comments on this video. Someone says, why are you trading it away? He'll be worth way more whenever Aaron Jones is the starter. I'm sorry, Aaron Jones leaves. But guys, this is why Dynasty is just a stock market. Dynasty is buying players low, selling them high, and that's what you're looking for. But let me see if we have anything else. John saying, I got some notifications that Winston is still the likely starter. I find that hard to believe if you're just looking at contracts. I think contracts tell a lot more than what we are going to end up seeing with coach speak or just any coaches coming out and telling us stuff. What means a lot more is the actual money the team is paying. Okay, Hot Rock Nation says it's the Sunday before free agency starts. Tanner saying, glad I don't have Kamara in any of my leagues. Okay, so let's go through. Yeah, this is crazy. Let me know if y'all have any other questions. And oh yeah, before we end the video, I need to give a massive announcement. And that I know we have had a lot of questions as of late saying, Mason, when are you going to open up more original flock spots on Patreon? Because on Patreon, we just uploaded our initial rookie rankings for the 2021 season, and that's going to continuously be updated throughout the course of the year. But I know a lot of people want to join the original flock tier, so they have access for that for like $2 something a month. But what I'll say here is I think we're probably done opening up spots in that tier, with a few exceptions. And those exceptions are, right now we have about 8 or 9 orphan teams available for current flock Patreon Dynasty leagues that I am playing in all of them. They are all posted on Discord. So if you want to take over one of those orphan teams and you want to join the Patreon community in the flock and play in leagues with me and access to my rankings, in that scenario, if you're willing to take over one of those teams, I am going to be opening up more original flock Patreon spots, but you just need to make sure you shoot me a DM. That way we can get it all organized and I can open it up and you can take it right away before someone else steals it from you. But let me send out the link for that for anybody who is interested. And outside of that, I think that we are probably done with this video. I had to go live. We had to talk about it. We had to go over it because y'all know this was an AJ Dillon channel a very long time ago. And then I was talking about selling AJ Dillon. And I mean, long story short, all we do is talk about AJ Dillon on this channel. So of course we're going to have to go live as soon as this happens. So I'm going to send the link to Patreon as well as the link to the Discord chat. The Discord chat is where you'll find those flock teams available. If you want one, if you want to join Patreon on the original flock tier, make sure you go out and you shoot me that DM on shoot me a DM on Patreon or Discord, either one. I'm going to send out the Discord link at the same time. And also, this live stream got 30 likes in like 20 minutes, so I have to give y'all a massive thank you for that. And because we uploaded 2 videos today, I probably won't upload one tomorrow. I hope y'all understand on that. I'm also going to be driving to Florida from Texas to see my family, so it's going to be a little bit hectic. Like, I've literally been I woke up at like 5:30 this morning, which, considering daylight saving times, was actually like 4:30, so I could start making videos for all the channels and get everything going. So yeah, probably going to be a little bit hard to contact over the next few days just because we're going to be making that road trip. And outside of that, shoot me that DM if you want anything. And thank you all for coming out, dropping a like on the video, subscribing to the channel. It helps us out a ton. And I won't see y'all with the video tomorrow because this is tomorrow's video, but I will see y'all with the video on, I believe, let's see, what day is it today? I'll see y'all with the video on Tuesday.